You don't want to do that.
It's me again, Tracy. Start the webinar, continue practice.
Yeah, that's okay. Start the webinar. Okay, I'm going to start broadcast everyone. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our webinar, Adoddle the New Dawn. This is the release update webinar for our latest release that was released on Saturday, the 17th of March. So basically, welcome to the future of collaboration. Adoddle, affectionately named New Dawn, has been an amazing journey for Asite, starting with the Adoddle 14 release in March of 2014 and its underlying classic framework, which gave us the foundation to reimagine your collaboration experience. We asked our client base what they wanted on the platform. If they could have anything on their common data environment, what would it be? The result is Adoddle the New Dawn. It's not just a great new user experience, it's also packed with new features to help you move faster, achieve more, and collaborate better. The New Dawn delivers our new website as well as our new platform, and it's about much more than a refreshed user interface. The New Dawn experience is a completely new Adoddle and a completely new way to collaborate. It's a reimagined platform designed to maximize productivity, complete with analytics and inline intelligence that will drive project precision. Today marks the start of a process that each and every customer will undergo to move into a bright future, the New Dawn. Please join us by trying it out. We hope that you'll love it, and we hope that you will keep on telling us how to make it even better. This product is based on all of your feedback, and it's your feedback and energy that will help us to continue to improve it going forward. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to today's presenters, Devendra Gira, our Technical Director, and Jigar Mito, who's our Project Information Officer. Devendra, if you're ready, I'll pass the screen sharing over to you.
Yes, I'm ready, Tracy.
Off we go.
Can you see my screen, Tracy?
I can. Looks good.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Tracy. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the release update webinar for the New Dawn. My name is Devendra Gira. Today we'll be demonstrating the main features of our New Dawn release of Adoddle. Adoddle was born on 17 March 2014, St. Patrick's Day, and since then has truly gone global and has metamorphosed in the past 4 years. We released the New Dawn version on 17 March 2018, and with all its game-changing features, the New Dawn is our mantra. As you can see, our past webinars are available on this page. You can access it via go into the resources tab and you click on webinars. You can also access the release notes which are available in the help section under this folder. Okay, so as Tracy mentioned, we have completely refreshed our website. So the first feature I'm going to talk about is our brand new website and the Adoddle interface, along with new dashboard gadgets. The new website is more modern looking. It's very simple to use and easy to navigate. It has got more graphics highlighting the key functions, and boring text is kept to the minimum. The solutions section at the top, it's geared around industry requirements. So document management, project portfolio management, construction management, digital engineering, so on and so forth. And which of our tools or products satisfy this, meet these requirements. And these are basically distinct areas of requirements which we get from you, i.e. our clients. All the other sections are easy to navigate and they're quite intuitive. They're self-explanatory. We have also made it very easy for you to sign up to the Adoddle platform with a free account. So if I click on sign up for free, you have to just enter your email address and create account, as simple as that. A free account gives you access to, so let's go to this tab, pricing. So it gives you access to shared groups, aMessages, advanced task management, unlimited task assignments, and it can be shared across all devices, i.e. Desktops, tablets, as well as phones. And we'll talk about aMessages and task management in a bit. So if we go back to, sorry about that. So if I, so I've on this page, I've already logged in and I'm on my dashboard. The Adoddle dashboard has been extended with more useful, insightful, and flexible graphical gadgets. Additional gadgets include filter-based charts like donut charts, column and bar charts, which basically enhance the visibility of project information within the dashboard. So let's take few examples. So here, as you can see, I've got this advanced donut chart, which shows me the incomplete tasks on files. The inner circle shows how many tasks are overdue or how many tasks are due shortly. And then for each inner circle, the data is divided on the outer circle. So here I can see that there are for comment this many number of tasks, for information this many number of tasks. Similarly, I can go on tasks which are due shortly. I can see that there are for information tasks which are seen on the outer circle. Now all of this data is click through, which means I can click on that part of the chart and it takes me directly into the relevant area. So in this case, because it is a chart for the files area, it basically pre-populates all the required filters to show me that particular data. So in this case, the task status is incomplete. I want to see data across all the subfolders, revisions, recipient name, and due date is greater than today, and the recipient task is for information. So I can see that all for information tasks are listed here. So I go back to my dashboard. So we spoke about filter based graphical gadgets. So let me switch to my custom dashboard. So here we can see that, let me expand this one, advanced filter chart. So if I just click on edit, what we can see is it is an advanced filter chart. And the beauty of this particular graphical gadget is I can use any of my existing filters to show the relevant information on the dashboard, and then I can click through that particular gadget into the actual object or into the files area or the apps area. So here the filter which I'm using is which shows me the statuses and purpose of issue for the files area. The chart type I've selected is bar, so it's a bar chart. The series is status, and against each of those statuses, I want to see the purpose of issue. So if we go back into my area, so here I can see that when the status is work in progress, I can see there are 452 files where the purpose of issue is for information, or there are 336 files where the purpose of issue is draft, and there are 169 files where the purpose of issue is record. I can change the type of the chart. So if I go into the edit mode, I can say, okay, instead of bar chart, I want to see column or donut chart. So when I update, I can see that, okay, the inner slice is my status, which is work in progress, and the outer ring or the slice, it shows me the purpose of issue for those selected status on the files. So here in this case, status is work in progress, and the purpose of issue is for information, draft, record, so on and so forth. One of the other additional features here is you can download this graphical gadget as an image, JPEG or PNG, or you can also download it as a PDF or an SVG vector file. I'll go back to my restore mode. Yeah, so you can basically create your graphical. I can go back to my system dashboard. So you can create filter-based graphical gadgets for files as well as the apps area. So as you can see, it greatly enhances, the visibility of all the project information, project information within the dashboard. Few other things, the Adoddle interface itself. So we have made it consistent across the top as well as the left buttons, across the top bar and the left buttons. We have also intuitively repositioned. So if I go in my files area, you would have noticed that all the icons, they have been repositioned, and they look much more sleeker now. So we have intuitively repositioned this menu items, which is in line with Asite's endeavor to get you the right information at the right time and place. Okay, so let's move on to the next feature. One of the most exciting features of the new Dawn is Adoddle aMessage. So let me go on to this tab. So Adoddle aMessage enables real-time one-to-one as well as group messaging with the ability of assigning tasks to users. This is extremely powerful because it allows you to even assign and track actions which come out of discussions. So on this screen, on the left hand side, it shows me all the users or contacts with whom I can interact, or I can send and receive messages. So which users can I see on this left hand side? Basically, I can see all the users of my own org or team directory of the projects where I have access to. I can what type of messages can I interact here? So I can basically I can interact via one-to-one messages or group messages, or I can also see messages which users have posted for individual files, or from the files area. So these are the list of my contacts, and that is my main screen area where I can send and receive messages. And the right hand side shows the metadata around the messages as well as the groups. So if I show you how a group can be created, so if basically group is nothing but I can have a collection of users with whom I want to discuss a particular concept, particular design strategy, or whatever else you might want to discuss. So I can give a group name. I can say this is a test group. I select the project on which with which I want to associate the group. Who is the administrator? I can add the administrators, and I can add the members in my group. I can make the group private or public. So private group will be accessible to only selected members of the group, whereas public group will be accessible to all the users of the selected project. So if I show you one of the group which I have already created, so as you can see, it's a private group. The name of the group is webinar group. Project is Adoddle release what's new webinar. I'm the administrator and I've added a few members of the group. I can add some description of the group. Now, so let's try to send a message here. So I can see that there's a user named IDP Supplier, and the green icon on the left shows that this user is active. Now, I've logged in as this test user in another browser, so I'm logged in here, and so if I send a message from here, I can say hello, IDP Supplier. So what has happened here is, because I'm logged in as IDP Supplier in that another browser, I also get a pop-up message that I've received as an IDP Supplier, I've received a message. So I can go back here. I can see that there's a message from Devendra Gera. So I can say, okay, hello there. And if I go back here, I can see that I've received the message from IDP Supplier. So I can interact with an individual user. I can share all my ideas. Now I can also share files with this user. So if we go if you go into this folder, what I can do is I can just drag and drop a file, and I can say, okay, please have a look at this file, and I can say press enter. So what that does is it will send the file to the IDP Supplier user, and so you can see that the file has been received, and there is a message here that please have a look at this file. I can click on the file, and the file opens in our standard Asite viewer, which supports more than 300 different types of files. So I have successfully opened the file. I have looked at the file. Now, what I can also do is I can take a screenshot of an existing image, or whatever else I want to share with this user. So if I just go back to this page, let me capture a screenshot, and I'll say, sorry, let me do it again. And I'll say copy to clipboard. I go back here and I can say Control V. So as in just paste the data from my clipboard. And I'll put a message, please see this as well, and I'll say enter. So I have I've just pushed the image also to the user. It's not just the Word file, or all the formats which we support, but also I can just copy and paste data from my clipboard directly into the messaging area. And if I go here, I can see that that image has been delivered as an aMessage to IDP Supplier user. I can see the data which I can see all the attachments which have been exchanged on this particular messaging window. I can download that data, or if I click on that file, it will open in the Asite or Adoddle viewer. Okay, so we have seen how I can interact with another user one-to-one. As I said, I can also send group messages. So I'm part of this particular group, and I know that these are the users who are part of this group, and I can send a message on this group. Hello everyone, the webinar has started. So I send a message to the whole group. So and if I see here, because IDP Supplier is also a member of this group, the message is received by this user as well. Similarly, any other member of the group can broadcast a message and it would be received by all the members of that group, because each member of that group would have subscribed to the broadcast messages coming out of or for this group. Okay, so let's move forward. So yeah, we've covered most of the aMessages uh, areas. So let's just jump into the tasks area. So as I said, basically you can assign and track actions which come out of discussions, which is super powerful feature. Here again, on the left hand side, you can see there are groups as well as projects available. So you can see all the tasks for a group as well as tasks on a project, which can be on files, apps, or groups. So here, if I go here on this particular project, Adoddle release webinar, what's new webinar. So this is obviously the task listing area, and on the top you got the filter area, so I can search a task, or I can say whether I want to see the task for files, apps, or groups. So if I just uncheck groups and files, I can see the tasks which are for apps. I can click on groups, so I can see that tasks which are assigned to groups, and I can click on these individual tasks to complete that particular task. It could be this is for information task, for status change task. So when I click on those tasks, it would for information, it would show me the file which would complete my task. For status change, it would open the status change window. So that is similar to what we had before. So it works exactly the same, but we have consolidated all the tasks on this particular page. Okay, so if I just click on this particular group, and I can filter saying that I want to see all the tasks, whether they are incomplete or complete, and I want to see tasks which are assigned to everyone, not just me. And I can say, okay, show me just the group tasks. So I can see that for this particular group, there are 3 tasks, out of which 1 task is completed, and there are 2 other tasks, and I can see that this task is open, the priority is high, this one is normal, the task is assigned to IDP supplier user, this task is assigned to myself, and these are the due dates for the tasks. I can click on the task to see the details, and I can change the priority, I can change the status, or I can also send a message. So I can send a message that has this room been booked. So so that message actually I should be able to see as an IDP user. I can see the message here that Devendra has asked, has this room been booked, and the icon here shows that it is a comment, or is it is a message on that particular task. So I can basically click on that task to see the task details, and if I go back and I can minimize that, And I can also, what I can do is also, I can group the tasks based on different parameters. So if I group them by priority, I can see that there are two tasks which are of high priority and one task which is normal priority. Now, what you can do here is also you can drag and drop the tasks to different priority. So this particular task, which was a high priority, I have made it as a critical priority. So it is, as easy as that, where you can drag and drop and change the priority. I can put it back as high priority, and you can also use for tasks. You can also use your keyboard to be able to navigate through the tasks. So you can just use the up and down arrow keys. So you see the task details, and you can just use your keyboard. People who are used to using keyboard to work very efficiently and very fast. We've added support of using keyboard as well for this feature. You can also add or attach files to this task. And if I want to create if I want to create a new task, what I can do is I can just go here and I'll say, okay, I'll say, please make the webinar recording available for download. I'll say, okay, that task is to do task. It is high priority, and I will assign it to say Jigger, and my due date is 30th, and I'll say okay. So I have basically, so it has, because I'd set it up as a high priority, the task already appears under my high priority group. So the task gets assigned to Jigger. Once Jigger will complete the task, he can change the status to make it complete, and basically it lets me track all the tasks or ad hoc tasks which are required to successfully give the webinar, and I can track and assign those tasks. So it is super powerful. Okay, so let me just check, have we covered everything on tasks? Yeah, I think we've covered everything around tasks. Okay, so the next feature we'll be talking about is App Builder Designer and Visual Workflow for apps. So the App Builder Designer basically allows you to build HTML5 based responsive apps directly from your browser. Responsive design will make your apps look good on all devices, including desktops, tablets, and phones. And with the new Dawn, we have also added support of graphical workflow for apps. Okay, so for my apps, let me go into the projects area. I'll go in the settings area. Now you can add an app using this option, or I can go into the app settings and I can say, okay, I want to add an app. I'll just give the name of the app. Say I already got some other address books which are created. So I'll just create address book 3. So group code and group name. So basically you can assemble similar forms under one group. So you can define the group name and the group code. So let me say the group code is add and the name is address, and the app builder ID is the unique ID for this app. So I'll say it is address book 3. So once I've defined that basic information, the edit app settings area is opened. Now this is our standard settings area, which you might be already using. And this is beyond the scope of today's webinar to go through all the settings of this page. We are particularly interested in this template zip file. So that template actually contains the design of the app. I'll basically click on edit button to open the designer. Okay, so this is the main designer page. On the top, it shows all the views. So the default is the create view. You can create standard as well as non-standard views. Standard views are create, created, response, responded, or you can create custom views which can be used in the workflow area. Sorry. Below the views area, we have all the controls which are available for the designer. And this is the main layout area where you can drag and drop different controls for the layout. On the top, you have the toolbar, which allows you to save the design as a draft, or once you are happy with the design, you can publish the design into the main Adoddle area, which then makes it available for you can basically create that particular create data for that app. You can download the template, so you can, if you wanted to take that zip or the template zip into another app and reuse that, you could do that. And you can also copy and paste selected controls. So let's jump into this controls. So here we've got label, your calculated value, text box, text area, rich text area. Let's go through them one by one. But for that, before that, let me pick my layout option. So my layout can be a simple layout which has got a column division and a single row, or I can select a tabular layout where I can define my number of rows and columns. So I'll say I want a 2 by 3 table, so I want 2 rows and 3 columns. And I can also define my border as say, 3 pixels. And let me then drag and drop a text box here. Now, once you drag and drop any control and click on that control, it shows properties on the right hand side. So you can check out all the properties. So if this is an address box, I'll say, okay, what's the first name? I'll define the name of the field. I can define a value here, which will by default show when that particular that particular address book is open for data input. However, I can also put a placeholder. So I'll just say, please input your first name, and I'll say this is a required field. And if I wanted to make this particular field read only or hidden, I could do that. Character limit, I'll say 50. I can define the style for this field. So if I wanted a different background color, I could change the background color. But let's keep the background color transparent. I can define the color for my text, or I can define my alignment as left aligned, center aligned, or right aligned. I can also make it bold, italics, or underlined. I can define the margin for this field, so how it would be positioned in relation to the outer boundary. And there are advanced properties for this field, say tooltip, tab index. So tab index is nothing but if a user is using a keyboard for data input, tab index will determine the sequence when you press the tab button. So how each of these fields would be selected in what sequence is decided by the tab index. Validation. So what kind of validation do you want for this particular field? Is it an integer only field, decimals, letters and numbers, letters or email? So let me select letters. It's a name, so I'll say it is letters. And then these three properties are very important. Whether I want this particular field to be searchable. So what this means is when you go in the app's listing area, do you want to be able to search on this particular field? So this search parameter then becomes available in your available as one of your filters. Reportable, as the name suggests, this field you want as one of the reportable parameters within your report. So I'll show you how you can search and report, etc., based on particular fields. And custom columns, as you might be already using, you can customize your column listing. So you can use this field as one of your custom columns. Okay. So like text box, you can use a text area or a rich text area, which allows a much wider type of the data, rich text data, which you would be able to input. If I take a drop down here as an example, so I'll say this drop down is for the country. I'll define the name of the field, country. I want this as select required. I don't want it as multi-select because I want the user to only select one country. All the other options similar to what we just saw. I can give the tooltip, etc. Now, for a drop down, you can either give static data what you want to show in this drop down. So I can just select here. I'll say country, I want UK, the value of the field UK, USA, value of the field USA. I want to add a couple of more fields, India. So I've populated that field with my static data. Now, similarly, you can use a checkbox, which would allow you, which can allow you to select more than one option or more than one checkboxes. Radio button, which allows you to select only one value from the available options. Date picker, as the name is suggesting, it's there to help you for selecting dates. Map, associating GIS data with your app, you can use the map. Image, it will help. It helps to display images into the app for the end user. And signature, which is, as the name suggests, it will provide you a control where you can ask the end user to input his signature. And repeating table is used when you want to input repeating data when the data input screen is shown. So let us take an actual example where we can see this ready-made controls. So I'll just come out of this form. Sure, want to close? Yes. I'll come out of this. So I'll go into address book 1. So here, as you can see, I've just used the text box control. I've used a drop-down control. I've used a signature control. Let me show you one of the things actually. So if I want a field to show calculated value, so what is calculated value? So let's drag and drop this particular control here. So what I can do here is let me put this a little bit here. So say the field name is first name value. So whatever name the user inputs here, you want to show that particular value as read only here. So what I can do is I can make it as a calculated value. So I can say, okay, I want to show the first name. So as you can see, it becomes a variable here, which is which is bracketed by two brackets on each side, and it's a variable which, when you enter the data here, becomes available um, under this label. Now what I can do, what I can also do is I can click on this question mark or the help, and it shows all the standard variables which are available out of the box. So I could say, okay, I want to see the name of the message creator actually. So what I can do is I'll just type message creator. So that's it. So it will basically show the name of the message creator. You can also use these calculated values um, against each of these controls. So as you can see here, I can select my calculated value. So let's see how we can input the data against this address app. So I'll go into my apps area, and I'll say, okay, I've created this group called as address, and I click on address book one. And what I'll do is I'll create an address entry, and I'll say, okay, first name is Ian Smith, Liverpool Street, London, and I can provide my signature. The same would obviously work, the same form, because it is a responsive design. It would work equally good on tablets as well as phones, where you can also use the signature input to take the signature of the end user. I'll say send. So here we can see that, okay, I've added an additional address book entry. The ID is ADD004. So this is based on the group ID which I had selected when I created this particular app. Now, if you remember, we spoke about controls which can be made searchable, reportable. So let's see how that works. So if I go into my filters, I'll say, okay, I want to be able to search on the first name. So this particular control, I'd said that I want to make this searchable. So I'll click on here, and I'll say I want to search for first name equal to Ian. So so the address book entry which had Ian was the one which I created last, which was ADD004. So what this means is you are able to search from data within the form. So if you have marked a particular control as searchable, it becomes available for you within the form listing area, where you can search on that particular field. Let's go into the reports. Let's see how this field becomes reportable as well. Okay, so here, if I go into my reports, I can see there is an address report. I'll just click on edit. So here, if you can see, I've just selected few fields, and you can see from here that I have got all the controls or the fields which I had selected as being reportable would also be available, including my first name, last name, and the country value. And if I run this report, so I can see that it has captured all the data, and the fields which I wanted, or the controls which I wanted to be reportable, are available for customizing my reports, ad hoc reports, via this area. Okay, so the next one is how we support visual workflow for apps. So with the new Dawn, as I said, we have added visual workflow support for apps. Visual Workflow Manager, it provides a very fast and reliable process engine for apps. So for the workflows, you need to first design or define the workflow definition as well as the workflow trigger. So let's go into the workflow definition first. So we have just created a workflow which is for this construction inspection checklist app. So if I open the workflow designer and click on this particular task, which as I can see, it's a user task. So if the icon on the left is a user, it means it's a user task, or if it's a gear on the top left, it's an automated task or automated system task. Now this particular user task, I can see the name of the task is inspection review. The task the task itself is respond to the app or respond to the checklist. So we support assign status and respond tasks at the moment. Click again. And to whom the task should be assigned. So it says it's a role called as inspection review or the reviewer's role. Now I have got the reviewers as well as the approver's role. So all the tasks will come back to me in this particular case. One additional thing about workflow for apps is you have to define the view. You have to define the view for this particular task. So when this task is assigned to a role or a user and he or she clicks on that task, which view of the app we want the user to see. So if you remember, when we were in the designer area, on the top left, you could create different types of views. So the default was create view, but as I said, you could create custom views as well. So here I can define which view this user should see when he gets this task. And the standard fields like due days, the number of days, as well as the transition condition, which is wait for all users to complete this task for the workflow to move to the next node. The approval task, the task, instead of respond, it is assign status. And if the checklist is approved, it goes to the system automatically assigns a for information action to the manager, or if it gets rejected, an email notification is sent by the system about the rejection. So this is my workflow definition for the apps area. And so let me get out of here. So the second thing which I need to define is a workflow trigger for this workflow. So I can go into my workspace and I'll say, okay, create a trigger. Give the name, description. So as you can see now, we have an additional option called as app along with the document option for defining the workflow triggers for app. And once you select the app, it will ask you which app do you want to define this trigger for. So I'll say the inspection checklist. Now I can provide additional conditions for my trigger. So I can say app status is approved, or whatever else I want to select for this trigger to kick off. We'll not select it for now. And the applied rule, it says here, app type in the inspection checklist. So that's fine. I can say my event which will trigger, which will kick off this trigger is, creation of the checklist or change status or edit ORI. So in this case, I'm doing a creation of this checklist, and I should be able to then say, okay, when this trigger is kicked off, what do I want to do? Whether I want to execute some system actions or I want to execute a workflow. So I can select the workflow here. We already have created a trigger, so I'll just show you that trigger. So this is exactly the same which we just discussed. So the trigger event is basically creation of the checklist, and it kicks off this workflow. Let's see that in action. So if I go into my apps area and I'll say, okay, I want to create a checklist. I'll remove this filter and I'll say, okay, let's create a checklist. I'll say project is bank building. My date is select on-site representative John Smith is there. I'll give my phone number, and I can input all the data, which is basically, this is again a form or an app which is designed in our online designer. So I can say, okay, type of check inspection is initial, previous noted deficiencies corrected, yes. Is there approval to connect to the MS4? Yes. And I'll input all the data. And I'll say, okay, the respond by 30th. I'll say, okay, send. So this the checklist is sent, but because I have configured the workflow that it goes to the reviewer for review, and in this case I have got the reviewer as well as the manager's role, I get an action for respond. So I'll click on respond action, and it will show me the view which I had created in my app builder designer for particular review. And I'll review this checklist and I'll say I'm fine, okay, I'll send it. And once I send this particular action, the workflow then checks that, okay, once this action is completed, it has to be sent for status change. Again, I've got the approver's role, so I get the assign status action as well. So before we complete this action, let us look at the workflow here. So we can see that workflow is running. When I click on the workflow, I can see that the workflow has executed the review action or the review task, and it is now sitting with the approver for approval. So let's go back here again. I'll say, okay, approved. So the checklist looks fine, and I'll say, okay, save. So now basically I have completed the action, and if we look at my workflow now, it says it is completed. So now you can see that the workflow is completed and what path it has taken to complete the workflow. So in this case, because the status was changed to approved, it has taken this route and it gives the for information action to the manager, which again, because I have got that role, I get a for information action, and the workflow gets completed. I think that's all from me for now, Tracy. I'll hand you I'll hand you guys back to Tracy, and thanks for listening.
Well, thanks for that, Dev. We're going to pass over to Jigger now. Jigger is going to cover the Navigator two-way sync, our improved file view interface, the file watcher functionality, which is brand new, the Adoddle field enhancements, and then batch clearing and delegate functions on Adoddle. So Jigs, if you're ready, I'm passing screen presentation rights over to you.
Indeed.
You got them okay there?
Yeah, absolutely. I am quite tuned in. Are you able to see my screen, Anne?
I can. I'm going to mute myself so everyone can hear you clearly.
Thank you. Everyone, thank you so much for joining in. And thank you so much, Tracy and Dev, for taking the first part of the presentation, the webinar. As Tracy mentioned, I'm going to take the second part of it. We've got, along with the release, which is one of the major events for us, we have deployed certain features and improved usabilities for the end users. To name them, quite a few, they are Navigator two-way sync. So our Adoddle Navigator, which is our desktop application, now supports two-way synchronization. So basically, if you have got your files locally synchronized, you could sync them out with a click to the web version. And thus, the second way being, if you have got the files uploaded onto your folders, onto the web versions, you could have them synced into your local drives or maybe the local working folders if predefined. In addition to this, we have also got improved file viewing interface. So considering that the feedback from the end users and the client base, we say we need a major area, we need improved interface, we need usability point of view and etc. With respect to performance, yes, that has been taken care of. We have made it available for you. Adoddle Field, our application for mobile devices and smartphones on tablets and iPads, has been has been witnessing the changes. The field now supports syncing, obviously, which is instant, marking offline via viewer, which I'll run you through, as well as batch clearing and delegating activities or tasks that we used to formerly call actions. Now, to start with, let's go ahead and have a look at the Navigator two-way synchronization. Right, I am on my dashboard. If you could also see, I have aMessages tab being highlighted, and as Dev mentioned, aMessages tab is the list of all of your messages, inclusive of your tasks, which you can see them here. So you've got myself, I dropped a message and I got a message from Dev about webinar started and meeting room bookings and etc. So yes, that gives you on real-time scenarios and the messages where you can reach out the team without any delays. Right, moving to the files tab here. I'm just going to expand to the folder locations here. So in my project, I have another folder called work in progress or sync. Please bear in mind, at the moment, your sync supports straightforward documents without any configurable attributes or without any additional metadata. Literally, so what I've done is I have a folder on my workspace. I have Navigator open side by side, and I have folder 7 work in progress synchronized. I have set up a working folder for my Navigator, and after setting up a working folder, I have enabled sync. Okay, you could also set the sync features via the taskbar. You have an Adoddle Navigator icon. If you right click on it and you have manage sync settings, using the sync settings, you could set the sync options for your folders as well. Now, all of the files so far are synchronized between web version and the local drives, and they are clearly visible with the icons here. And what I'm going to do is, I have the folder locally available. I'm just going to place files in there. I've picked up 2 files. I'm literally just going to place them into my working folder, and the working folder then starts synchronizing those 2 files on to the Navigator. I just click the folder, And if you see the topmost files, they have appeared into my navigator. And if I go back to my web version, if I click on the folder, they have also appeared onto my web version of it, right? So that is how your navigator works with two-way synchronizations. The files which are uploaded into the web version will be available onto the local drives as well as navigator and Adoddle field if you're accessing it on site. Bear in mind, the folders at the moment should be enabled with a simple upload and should not have any configurable attributes or any other additional configurations applied, which we will enhance do in the future, but we'll keep you posted on the progress of them. Okay, let's look at the improved file view interfaces. So as Dev mentioned, we have improvised the look and feel of the whole application, the web, and the system. We have Files tab, and now the tab groups all of your files, the distributions, and aMessages all together into one single screen via the sub tabs here. Okay, let's just go ahead and open one of the files from the listing. Just clicked on a file. I'm just waiting for it to open up. Right, and we are nearly there. So if you see the topmost banner of it, on the top left-hand side, you have got the file name, you've got the status and the revisions. Status changes can be accessed from here itself, and you could go ahead and change it to either in progress version or rejected, or put your comments in and send it back to the authors of them. The navigation, the scrolling has absolutely been smooth, has been enhanced. You can still have your thumbnail views added. You can continue using the standard options of annotations, markups, printing, rotating, etc. The left-hand panel that we used to have for your comments area, for your attachment associations, for audit trails, workflows, and etc. All of them have now become an icon, and they sit in the header on the top right-hand side. If I take you through, the first icon being download, and the little arrow next to it allows you to access your download preferences. The next one being link, distributions, and a comments view, which I've just switched off, and I'm going to turn it on again. Okay, you could set them up into a dockable mode or on a floating mode, and literally just close them to have wider screen capacity. Now I can have my documents literally on a very wider area and see the contents of them much more clear. Okay, you have access to attachments and association via paperclip, which you can obviously keep it docked or keep it floating, editing attributes, and obviously the file watching, which I'll just come through in a moment from now. The more options nav is being grouped to see the rotating functions, visual workflows, switch over to the earlier viewer, which we call now a classic viewer, file details, and a history. Your file details will help you to find out what the file name is, file path, file document details, and any other configurable attributes. In addition to an access trail or the audit trail being extensive. So revision was uploaded today, is being viewed here. As any activities or keep doing or keep happening on it, they'll be tracked and recorded, which will still continue. I close this here, and that's one in here. Now, navigating back to the listing, obviously, as you are aware, I can have multiple files being viewed at the same time into the tabs of the browsers. Okay, which means the copies, the files, they can be accessed at the same time across. Coming back to the listing area here, whilst we see the files and load them into the viewers, let's also look at the batch actions, or the basket functionality that we used to call earlier. Now, if we recall, what we used to do is, so far, we get into the document, get into the audit trail, and find out the documents have been distributed to who all team members based on what all transmittal numbers. Now, what we've done is we've taken them out and put them under a distribution tab here. So if I just click on the workspace, I can see the transmittals on the left-hand side, and the right-hand side is where the distributions, actions, it resides for the end users, right? So the way if I go to one of the projects where I have got transmittals, yes, I could batch complete or batch clear actions via selecting from the Files tab, right-click, Tasks, and for information. This is where you've been performing. Alternatively, you could switch over to a sub-tab of Distribution, batch select, and right-click, which will allow you to either clear tasks, delegate tasks, deactivate, or reactivate them. Delegating would again continue to work in a similar fashion as it used to. You could choose to delegate it to a new recipient with an existing due date, or altogether recalculate the number of days from today or when you're doing it. Grouping them up with aMessages, which is a next sub-tab, shows all of the comments, discussions, and messages specific to the files discussions area. So you can have now a clear screen all placed under files area. I can obviously batch select, do a right click, and obviously continue marking them as read from the same screen again, right? The numbers, as in when you complete your messages, as in when you mark your messages as read, the moment you complete your tasks, shall obviously reflect on the left-hand panel now. One of the major improvements that we've done is to tie them up with a routine life. Using our email, Outlook, and applications, we usually term our work as tasks. So I've got a task as a meeting, I've got a task to prepare a specification, I've got a task to submit a quote. Every activity that you do is now a task that can be performed, can be tracked, can be recorded, and be audited. As Dev in an earlier presentation mentioned, you can create tasks above the files or the forms and have them tracked down with individual members or a group of members, which will help you to control your project deliveries. Okay, let us now look at another feature, which is a file watcher. Okay, now what we do is you get into a folder, you go to batch of files, I'm going to switch over to, and you've got protocols document, the very first on the list, okay, which is situated under documents folder. Okay, what I can do is I can add myself as a watcher on the document. Now what that does is it will notify any time when a document activity is performed. It could be revision upload, it could be discussions, or it could be your comments if the file is being downloaded or a status change happens. Sharing of files, or it could be a task-based activity as well. I could either choose to watch all revisions, a particular revision, or the latest, and then choose to be notified either instantly or via the email notifications, which comes down to your mailboxes every day, every morning as a part of summary notifications as well. You could also choose the activities for which you would want to be notified as a watcher. Not just to limit to the files, a specific area, you could yourself then mark watcher on a particular folder as well, which is then denoted via the little eye icon onto the folder. Any activity that then gets performed, you get notified of that activity via email reminders, as well as into our notification center on the top right-hand side, which lists the activities or the watching that has been happened. Right? You could use the clear all to clear the notifications or the watching reminders that you would have got on your screens or maybe on your account. Okay. Moving on, we have Adoddle field enhancements now. So Adoddle field, let me just pull that up. Right, here we go. Adoddle field, the application for mobile devices, iPads, and tablets now has obviously been upgraded to support aMessages, tasks, as well as certain more feature improvements to it as well, along with performances. If I navigate down to the files area and to the same work in progress sync folder, you see it has brought all the files, all the revisions as in. You could now upload documents or files using Adoddle field via the little plus icon, which will take you to either the gallery or to the documents, which is specific to the devices on Android, or to the gallery and the files onto iPhone devices or maybe iOS devices. All right, let's just try and open one of the files. I've just clicked on one of the files and it opens up into the viewer on Adoddle field. Based on the size of the files or maybe the content of the files, or if it's a CAD file with lots of pages and lots of references into it, it may be dependent on your data pack or maybe the network reception. However, it should be improved and much quicker to load with respect to the files. Please bear in mind, once you view the files, you could continue using the standard tools of markup, annotations, creating discussions or comments, as well as additional features now to say you could distribute attachment associations, stop watching, or file details. The additional feature here is you could mark the particular document or file available for offline use, which means if you're not connected to internet, you could still use or open those files using the native applications onto those devices. For example, if you've got a PDF, you can usually use an Acrobat reader to open the files offline and then have them back synchronized via the two-way synchronization, which can happen instantly via the Adoddle field or on a specific time frame via Navigator as well. Okay. The upload synchronizations, you can mark the document available for offline use, and the moment you do it, it then confirms via file marked offline successfully. If I go back a step and see the change here, we could then notice that the document is available for offline via a green little pin. And then you can sync it with the icon on the top right-hand side, marking available via viewer. You could mark a particular folder available for offline as well. If you long press on a given folder, you could either start watching or mark them as available offline using the pins on the right-hand side. The features are available for Android devices. The features are available for iOS-based devices as well. Again, loads of features, loads of improvements. And obviously, if I bring you over to the release notes, yes, as aMessages, tasks, app builder design, the gallery has been improved. Great, a lot of things for you to get cracking on. Thank you so much for listening to me. I would pass the presenter right over to Tracy. Tracy, over to you.
Hi there, Jakes. Thanks for that. Okay, so the next section we are going to get started on is the Q&A. So The first question that's come through is, do the new filter-based graphical gadgets work for files as well as apps? So I'm not sure who wants to take that question, Dev or Jigga?
Yeah, I can take that.
Thanks.
So if you can give me the presenter's role, Tracy.
Coming your way.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it go.
Yes, so the answer to your question is yes. So basically the advanced filter charts, they do support files as well as apps. So the demo which I had shown was for the files area, but I can also, if I just expand this one. So if you see edit, so here I've taken my filter as apps. So what I've done is I want to see for each form name, I want to see all the form statuses. So here I can see that for the discussions discussions app, I've got open 52 discussions and close 7 discussions. Similarly, for the inspection checklist app, I have got 3 checklists which are approved, 1 rejected, and 2 open. So it's very easy. You have to basically create a filter in the apps or in the files area, and you can use those filters within this filter gadgets to be able to visualize this project information in the dashboard. Tracy, back to you.
Thanks, Dev. Okay, so the next question is, does aMessage and the tasks support history and audit trail functionality like on the past platforms?
Yes, I can take that one as well. So if I show you the group, so if I can click on the history option, so I can see that when the group was created and it was created by who, and then what all activities have happened within the group. So user was added, which date and time, etc. And if you see for the tasks, again I can basically look at a particular task. So let me filter it properly first. And I can see on this particular task, you can see the history button. So you can see that a task was created, priority was changed, and task was then the status was updated as completed, and then again some priority changes. So yes, full audit trail as all the other Adoddle objects is also available for tasks and messages. Tracy.
Awesome. Thanks, Dev. The next question that's come in is, what is the process for creating your own custom dashboard?
Okay, I can take that.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to pass presenter rights to you, Jigga.
Thank you.
Go.
All right, here we go. All right. All of the users on the platform are able to set up their own dashboards. At the moment, when you go in, if you are on a system default dashboard, you may possibly not see it. However, on the top right-hand side, you've got a Tools drop-down. If you click on Tools and you go to Create Dashboard, you could then create a dashboard all by yourself. Alternatively, if you already have certain dashboards available, you could click on Manage Dashboards and set them up as you need. You could clone and share the dashboards from between the project team members as well. And once you have a dashboard available, you could start adding relevant gadgets via the Add Gadget button, as I've mentioned about the advanced filter charts, incomplete task, and etc. via the Add Gadget button, which has a wide variety. And that should get you going with the interactive and advanced dashboard.
Awesome. Thanks, Jigga. I appreciate that. Okay, so the next question is kind of like a double-barreled question, I suppose. And there's obviously an avid app builder out there. So here we go. Will you be adding scripting support for App Builder Designer? And would graphical workflow for apps have scripting support as well? Who would like to take that one?
Yeah, I can take that, Tracy.
Okay, I'm just going to pass presenter rights to you there, Dave.
So currently, so within the workflows area, the system actions which you create or which you can create, you can select the task type as Groovy script. So we support Groovy as a language for scripting within the workflows. And you can basically create a script which you can apply for the context of app. So, again, as I can select the app and I can define the system action. And this becomes then a standard system action which will execute the script as and when the node comes to, as and when the workflow comes to that node. So yes, we do support scripting as we did for the files object within the workflows. We support scripting for the apps as well. And the second question I believe you asked was, is scripting support available for the app builder designer?
Designer, yeah.
That's in the roadmap, so that's not available yet, but it will be available soon.
Awesome, thanks, Dave. Okay, just checking if there's any last questions there. We've got someone asking to review the App Builder screen steps. So the webinar is being recorded and we'll have it up on the website later today. So I think at this point, I just want to thank everyone for joining us and taking the time to spend a good hour and a half out of your day to have a look at our new features on the new Dawn. We want to know what you think, so please do email us on support@asite.com. Our support team, our entire team is here 24/7, 365, all around the world, online, all the time, just for you. So don't forget, any questions, email support@asite.com. And thanks to everyone for joining us. Dave, Jigga?
Thanks, Tracy. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good, happy Easter break. Look forward to seeing you again.
Thanks all. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.